Ah, hello, children of Muskegon Christian School. I've just been working on a picture here. Um, Not many people know that I'm an artist. I love to create beautiful pictures, and I decided that for the talk today, I was going to create a picture of the most beautiful place I've ever been. I've been a lot of beautiful places, but this is one of the most beautiful. It was in Rocky Mountain National Park, and my wife and I had taken a trail hiking up the side of a mountain, and it had a lot of these switchbacks in it, and we were tired, and we stopped to rest and looked back over the valley below us. And down below, there's a river, and there were some animals by the river, and the sun was out of puffy clouds. It was an absolutely beautiful day, one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. So I thought I'd make a picture of it. And this is so good. It's probably going to be, someday be in an art museum, right? Let's see what you think. You're the first people to see this, right? You ready? Here it is, Rocky Mountain National Park. Beautiful place. Isn't that gorgeous? See, here's my wife and me up here, and there's the clouds and the blue sky and the river down below. I didn't get the animals in yet. I'll have to add those later. Isn't that great? No, it's not, isn't it? Truth be told, I'm not very good at art at all. I can't make a picture other than using stick people. I can't do it. Now, I've been thinking about that because I hear that you're talking about God is the creator, and he created the world, and he made it beautiful. And when he's done creating the world, he says, oh, it's very good, even with the first people in it. And I think, God looks at the world with all of its variety, and he says, it's good. In fact, sometimes I think he has a real sense of humor, because I think, a God who could create the giraffe, for instance, must have had a sense of humor to create an animal with a neck that long. Or one of my favorites is the duck-billed platypus. What a creature to create and say, oh, that's beautiful. God looks at everything he created and he says, it's good, it's beautiful. And then he looks at all the people in the world, you and me, and he says, they're beautiful too. And what you're learning today is that because we're in the image of God, we have the ability to create beauty as well. We are people who create beauty. But if you can't do it with drawing, how do you do it? Now, some of you are really good at drawing, and you're going to create some pictures someday that somebody will be really blessed by. They'll say, wow, that was really beautiful. In fact, I brought one of my favorite artists' pictures with me. I had it framed even. Now, there's a picture of it. This was done with just colored pencil. Isn't that something? All of those elements of God's creation in there. Actually, this was done by my daughter, Kelly. This is Ari and Jansen and Reich's mother who did this a long time ago and gave it to us. And it's so precious that we put it in this frame, and then we keep it in our bedroom where we can see it every single day. Some of you are going to be able to draw beautiful pictures that are going to bless people. Some of you are going to be able to do music that is outstanding and will bless people. And the rest of us, how do we create beauty? Well, in order to prepare for this little talk today, I went to the Bible and I looked up all the passages in the Bible that talk about something being beautiful or by having beauty. And I found some surprising things, some things that tell us that I and you can do that will be part of creating beauty in the world. So let me just share 3 of those passages with us. The first one is from Isaiah chapter 61. Now, in this passage, the prophet Isaiah is foretelling what Jesus is going to do when he comes. And when Jesus comes, in fact, he reads this passage and he says, this is fulfilled in your hearing. It's Isaiah chapter 61. It goes like this. The Spirit of the sovereign Lord is on me, because the Lord has anointed me to proclaim good news to the poor. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim freedom for the captives and release from darkness for the prisoners. And then it goes on to say this. He has sent me to give them beauty for ashes, the oil of joy for mourning, the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness. Yeah, he came to bring beauty for ashes. Now, what he's talking about there is that some people go through experiences in life where it feels like everything's been burned up. Things that they liked, loved, or appreciated are gone. And how do you bring beauty into a situation like that? Well, my wife is a nurse. And for many years, she would go into people's homes and she would take care of them there. And she told me once about a time she went in to take care of a blind woman Now, this woman obviously had some ashes in her life, and that her life she used to be able to see, but now that's gone. And so my wife goes in to take care of her. And as my wife cared for her, and my wife is a really good nurse, toward the end, this woman said, "Oh, Patrice," she said, "you are so beautiful." And my wife laughed and said, "Wow, it's something to be called beautiful by a blind woman, right?" And this woman took my wife's hand and put it between her two and said, "Honey," says, "that kind of beauty you don't need eyes to see." Now the point is that wherever there are ashes, where people are hurting, where people have experienced loss, we can be part of God bringing beauty into their life again. And that's being part of what God does when He creates and changes and brings and renews. And we can do that. Anytime you see somebody who's hurting and you speak a kind word to them, you help them, it's creating beauty. Okay, that's one passage. Here's another one. This is from the New Testament. This is from Romans. And this is how Paul puts a statement in Romans chapter 10. He says, "How beautiful are the feet of messengers who bring good news." Now, he's not talking here about what beautiful feet, So if somebody brings you good news, they should take off their shoes and socks so you can look at their feet and say, "Wow, those are beautiful feet." That's not what he's saying. He's saying that when somebody brings us good news, it just creates in us a sense of beauty, a sense of joy. And that's part of creating things as God creates around us. And when I thought of that, I thought of an email I got not too long ago. When I retired from ministry at Covenant Life Church in Grand Haven, that word went out and some people sent me emails that I had been part of years ago. And the very first church I served a long time ago, there was a woman who sent me an email. And this was a young girl at the time I worked in that church. And we had a bus ministry in our church. We went around with a bus, volunteers did, and they picked up kids in trailer parks near us and apartments and houses, and they would bring them to church for Sunday school. Well, this woman said she was joining a new church, and they required her to write out her testimony or the story about how she came to know Jesus Christ. And she said, "I was writing that story," said, "and I looked up your name." Says, "I got to tell you that I was so thankful that you and your church did this." It wasn't just me. It was volunteers in the church, people who came and said, "Yeah, we're going to drive that bus. We're going to teach Sunday school. We're going to help people. We're going to tell them the good news." Anytime we are part of that process of telling people the good news, by supporting a missionary, by talking to our neighbors, by bringing friends to Vacation Bible School, whatever, we are part of creating something that God says, "Oh, that's beautiful." One last one. This is from Matthew chapter 26. The setting here is that Jesus is about to be crucified, but beforehand a woman comes and anoints him with oil. This kind of oil was pretty expensive in that day, and so his disciples start arguing back and forth. Say, "Oh, shouldn't she have just sold this? We could have sold this and given the money to the poor." And Jesus said to her, aware of this, in other words, aware that they were arguing, Jesus said to them, "Why are you bothering this woman? She has done a beautiful thing to me. The poor you will always have with you, but you will not always have me." And she did a beautiful thing for Jesus. Now, what she was doing was just something because she loved Jesus. She was trying to express that love to Jesus, and that created a moment of beauty. Now, I can think of a lot of people who are creating beauty in these ways. I think of some people in the church I served in Covenant Life. There's a group of men who make beds. That's what they do, because they found out that in our community in Grand Haven area, there are children who are sleeping in beds that don't meet the federal standards. And that's a reason that somebody could take them out of their parents' home and put them in foster care. And so they started working and creating beds, and they deliver these beds. And I can feel Jesus saying when they deliver them, "That's beautiful." Because they're doing this because they love Jesus. I can think of some people who have given money because they love Jesus. I have know some people who are missionaries today because they love Jesus and it's creating beauty. Now, that's a challenge for all of you today, to think of one way that you can create beauty today and every day, and then go do it. And you'll be part of God's creating that goes on and on and on. Have a great day.